You've probably never seen anything quite like this before, where every frame could be straight out of an old-school cartoon, but it's all happening in front of you, and you're in control. That's exactly what you get with Cuphead, a game that grabs you from the start with its whimsical yet intense gameplay. The challenge? Boss fights. Lots of them. And these aren't your average boss fights either. Each one feels like a mini epic. What really stands out is how the game keeps things fresh by throwing new twists at you in every boss battle. No two are the same. One moment you're facing off against a giant plant, the next you're up against a flying candy-colored creature that shoots sweets at you. There's no room to relax. You're constantly dodging, learning the patterns, and figuring out the best way to take down your foe. It's challenging, but never feels unfair. It's more about getting better and mastering the gameplay loop. And let's talk about the weapons and abilities. You have this whole arsenal at your disposal, and the way the game encourages you to experiment with them during battles is so much fun. Whether you're shooting from afar or getting up close and personal, each weapon has its own vibe, and finding what works best for you in each battle makes the experience feel really customizable. It's a game that rewards experimentation. The game doesn't just keep you on your toes with bosses. The levels leading up to them offer their own kind of chaos. Between the run and gun sections where you're blasting through enemies to the platforming moments that require some quick thinking, a way out. This one really flips the usual co-op formula on its head. From the first minute, it's clear this isn't just a game you can play with someone, it's a game you have to play with someone. A Way Out is completely built around two players, and that's where all the magic happens. The way it's designed to split the screen constantly is so clever. One minute you're both doing something completely different, like one guy sneaking through a hallway while the other's in a tense conversation. And then the next minute, you're teaming up for some perfectly timed action. It's not just about helping each other out, it's about doing it in sync, sometimes without even speaking. Every section feels fresh. You're not stuck doing the same thing over and over. One moment you're stealing a truck, the next you're fishing in a stream, then suddenly you're on the run in a high-speed chase. It keeps changing things up just enough to keep you locked in, always wondering what you'll be pulling off together next. There's also something really satisfying about how it handles choice. Whether you're playing aggressively or taking the quiet approach, both players get a say. It feels like a team effort all the way through, and those small decisions ripple through the gameplay in cool ways. The pacing is another strong point. It doesn't stretch anything out too long. Each scene knows when to start, when to peak, and when to wrap up. It's got this rhythm that keeps things moving, pulling you deeper into the ride without feeling like it's dragging its feet. Middle-earth: Shadow of War. This one takes everything that made its predecessor so addictive and cranks it up to a whole new level. The combat is faster, the world is bigger, and the enemies, they're not just mindless grunts. Thanks to that incredibly deep nemesis system, every encounter feels personal, and no two battles play out the same way. One moment, there's an orc swearing vengeance. The next, it's turning into a full-blown rivalry that lasts for hours. The feeling of taking over strongholds and leading an entire army is where things really shine. Instead of being a lone warrior cutting through waves of enemies, it's all about commanding troops, planning strategic assaults, and watching a carefully built army grow stronger with every victory. The orcs under command aren't just faceless soldiers either. Each one has personality, strengths, and sometimes a little too much attitude. Upgrading skills and gear keeps the gameplay fresh, letting battles stay engaging no matter how far in things get. There's something satisfying about unlocking new abilities that make slicing through enemies even more fluid. Whether it's stealthy assassinations, brutal executions, or raining arrows from above, every fight plays out with a perfect mix of strategy and chaos. The world itself is a dangerous playground, full of different regions to explore. Every area has its own threats, opportunities, and of course, a never-ending supply of orcs ready to either join up or cause trouble. Lords of the Fallen takes you on a wild ride through a dark, gritty world that has everything you could want from an action RPG. Challenging combat, cool mechanics, and plenty of ways to explore. From the moment you step into the game, you're thrown into a universe that feels alive, full of danger and mystery. It's the kind of game where you always feel like you're on the edge, ready for something intense around every corner. One of the coolest parts about this game is the dual realm mechanic. You can switch between the living world and the realm of the dead. This isn't just a neat gimmick. It opens up tons of possibilities for how you explore and solve puzzles. Need to get across a gap or bypass an obstacle? Flip into the other realm and bam! Suddenly, there's a whole new way forward. It's clever and it adds an extra layer to the experience that keeps you on your toes. Combat in this game is no joke. If you're a fan of the Souls-like genre, you'll feel right at home with its methodical, deliberate pace. It's all about timing, dodging at the right moment, blocking when needed, and delivering those satisfying strikes when you find the opening. The variety of character classes is another highlight. Whether you're all about heavy damage or prefer a more agile approach, there's a playstyle for everyone. It's not just about slashing through enemies, it's about figuring out the best way to approach every encounter. Another fun aspect of this game is the cooperative multiplayer. Marvel's Spider-Man, Miles Morales. Swinging around the city never felt this smooth and stylish. The second your feet leave the ground, the world just opens up in the coolest way. Zipping through snowy streets, flipping through the air, and chaining web swing after web swing is the kind of thing that never gets old no matter how many times it's done. Every little trick thrown in midair just makes the momentum feel even sweeter. Combat really knows how to keep the energy high too. Fights feel snappy and responsive, blending punches, dodges, web shooters, and those flashy signature powers into a dance of chaos that's impossible not to enjoy. There's something super satisfying about smoothly taking down a whole group of enemies without missing a beat, especially when mixing stealth with all-out brawls. The world always finds a clever way to fill the gaps between the big moments. There are plenty of side activities scattered all over, and every time one pops up, it's like an open invitation to have some fun before heading back to the main objective. Whether it's chasing something down or helping out random people around the city, every little task feels like it belongs. Exploring isn't just about checking boxes either, since every corner of the city hides a little surprise or two. Whether it's a collectible or a quick encounter, there's always something waiting that makes the trip worth it. The world does a great job of rewarding curiosity, making it easy to lose track of time just wandering around. Mafia Definitive Edition is a ride through the gritty streets of Lost Heaven, where you get to step into the shoes of Tommy Angelo, a regular guy who gets swept into the wild world of organized crime. No spoilers here, just pure vibes, because this is one game that really pulls you in with its atmosphere. First off, let's talk about the world itself. Lost Heaven is just one of those cities that feels alive. It's not just a backdrop, it's a whole vibe. As you cruise through the city, whether you're in a sleek car or on a classic motorcycle, you'll catch yourself actually enjoying the scenery. The attention to detail in this game is on point. The streets feel real, and driving around might actually have you humming along to the radio even though you're not supposed to. The driving mechanics are a huge part of this. Don't expect the fast-paced, arcade-style driving you might be used to. This one is slower, more about actually handling these classic 1930s vehicles. It might feel a bit different at first, but after a few turns, it's like you've got the wheel in your hands, cruising through a crime thriller. It's nice to see a game pay attention to these details, even when you're just getting from point A to point B. And then there's the whole criminal underworld thing. You start as an average Joe, just trying to get by, but quickly find yourself tangled up in all sorts of mobster shenanigans. As you get more involved, the stakes get higher, and it's clear this isn't just a job anymore. It's a lifestyle. Ghost Recon Wildlands drops you right into a vast open world that's ready for you to explore. And I mean explore. This game takes place in Bolivia, where you'll be tackling missions across jungles, mountains, deserts, and cities, all in an attempt to take down the Santa Blanca cartel. The map is huge, and there's just so much to see and do. You can drive, fly, and even swim your way around, making each mission feel a bit like a mini adventure of its own. The gameplay is all about tactics, but in a way that lets you get creative with how you approach situations. You can go in guns blazing, or you can take your time, sneak around, and plan each move. There's a lot of freedom in how you want to tackle things. It's not just about shooting everything in sight. It's about choosing the right moments to strike, when to lay low, and how to work with your team for maximum impact. Speaking of the team, the game lets you go solo, but it really shines when you team up with others. You can play co-op with up to 4 players, which turns every mission into a tactical operation. You and your squad can plan your moves, coordinate attacks, or just mess around and see what happens. The game definitely pushes you to think about how you're going to work with your team, whether you're sneaking past enemies or taking out a base together. Customization is also a huge part of the experience. From weapons to gadgets to your character's skills, there's a ton of ways to make your loadout your own. Lining up that perfect shot never gets old, especially when the game gives you every reason to obsess over the details. Wind, distance, heart rate, even the angle of the target. That's where Sniper Elite Resistance instantly hooks you. This isn't just about pulling the trigger. It's about setting up the moment so perfectly that the payoff is as satisfying as it can possibly get. Sniper Elite Resistance really leans into the thrill of planning each encounter, especially when the game hands you the freedom to shape your own approach. One mission might have you stalking rooftops for the best sniping nest, while another lets you booby-trap paths, trigger environmental hazards, or even set up some sneaky diversions. There's something endlessly entertaining about the way it rewards patience as much as it rewards bold moves. The game shines the most when you start using all the toys it gives you. There's a whole loadout system that lets you tweak your gear, from swapping scopes to picking the right suppressor or even adjusting the ammo type depending on the challenge. Every mission turns into a kind of puzzle, and it's up to you whether you want to solve it loud or quiet, from a mile away or up close. What's fun is how the world around you can be just as deadly as your sniper rifle. Sniper Elite Resistance lets you rig traps and use the environment to your advantage, which makes the action feel way more creative than just a point-and-shoot affair. The Surge 2 is all about turning up the intensity, diving into a world where every corner hides a new challenge. It's not your typical action RPG. The focus here is on that satisfying, brutal combat where every swing and every block feels meaningful. Now let's talk about that combat for a second. It's fast, it's strategic, and it's got that edge-of-your-seat feel. You're not just smashing buttons, you're thinking about where to strike and which limb to target, because that's where the fun happens. Severing limbs isn't just for show, it's a tactic. And what's even cooler, you can grab the gear from those limbs and use it for yourself. It's like taking trophies from your battles and showing off your spoils. The combat is one of those things that feels so smooth once you get the hang of it. There's something satisfying about taking down these challenging enemies, especially when they work in packs, making you think on your feet. You can't just rush in swinging. No, you've got to plan your moves carefully, dodge, block, and then strike at the right time. It's all about patience and precision, and when you nail it, it feels like the ultimate win. And don't get me started on how deep the customization gets. Whether you're looking to switch up your combat style or just want to tweak your look, there's a ton of options. You can choose your gender, your appearance, and pick from a variety of weapons, each bringing something different to the table. Want to go with a big heavy weapon to crush your enemies, or maybe something quicker and more agile? There's really no wrong choice here. There's something ridiculously cool about hitting the brakes on a sports car, flipping a switch, and suddenly you're soaring through the skies in a stunt plane, all without a single loading screen breaking the flow. That's the kind of madness that makes The Crew 2 stand out right from the first few minutes. This isn't your usual racing game where you stick to one kind of machine or one stretch of road. The Crew 2 throws open the entire US map and lets you roam wild across highways, rivers, and skies, swapping between cars, boats, and planes anytime you feel like shaking things up. One moment you're cutting through Miami's sunlit streets in a sleek hypercar. The next, you're splashing through the Mississippi in a powerboat. And before you know it, you've traded water for altitude and you're flipping loops above the Rocky Mountains. The best part about this game is how smooth and fun that switcheroo system feels. There's no slow menus or awkward waiting. You just snap your fingers, hit a button, and your vehicle pops into place, ready to go. That little feature alone turns exploring the map into an addictive loop, because the more you bounce between vehicles, the more you want to push the world's limits and find new spots to mess around. Events in the game aren't just set up for one type of racer either. The variety is nuts. One day you'll be chasing a finish line through a twisting street circuit, and the next you're hammering an off-road buggy across the desert or carving perfect lines through air race checkpoints. Max Payne 3 is one of those games that really knows how to keep you on the edge of your seat. You're thrown into a world of intense action, where every bullet counts and every corner could be hiding something dangerous. The game's combat is smooth, satisfying, and just downright fun. You've got bullet time, that signature slow-motion mechanic that lets you dodge bullets like a total boss, all while taking out enemies with precision. It's the kind of gameplay that makes you feel like you're in a blockbuster action movie, minus the explosions. One of the coolest things about this game is how it mixes strategic cover with fast-paced combat. It's not just about running and gunning. You gotta plan your moves, find cover, and pick your shots carefully. But even when you're in cover, things never slow down. You're always thinking about your next move, and it keeps you constantly engaged in the action. The dual-wielding mechanic is another great touch. Being able to fire two guns at once makes combat feel even more dynamic, and it's just plain fun to watch the bullets fly. And let's not forget the variety of weapons at your disposal. Whether you're going for the classic handgun, packing some serious heat with a shotgun, or trying your luck with an assault rifle, there's a weapon for every playstyle. Each weapon feels unique, and you get the satisfaction of feeling like a one-person army as you switch between them mid-fight. The game isn't just about the firefights, though. The levels are well-designed and push you to think about how to approach each situation. Nightingale drops players into a world that's equal parts enchanting and dangerous, where magic and survival collide in the most intriguing way. This game takes you on a wild ride through procedurally generated realms, each one bringing something fresh and unique. Think of it like an endless adventure where every time you step through a portal, you're met with something different, from mysterious creatures to treacherous environments. And the best part? You can team up with friends and take on these challenges together, turning every mission into a collaborative quest. Now, the core of the experience here is survival. You'll be gathering resources, crafting your tools, and building your own little base in these strange lands. The crafting system isn't the kind that you'll breeze through in an hour, though. It's detailed, giving you tons of options to work with, and you'll be spending time figuring out what you need to survive, whether that's weapons for defense or shelter from the elements. Building your base is all about finding the right spot and protecting your turf, but also adding your personal touch to make it feel like home. One of the coolest aspects is the combat. This isn't your typical hack and slash setup. Instead, you've got a mix of melee combat, ranged weapons, and even magic to throw into the mix. Each fight brings something new with different enemies that will keep you on your toes, and the challenges can ramp up quickly as you progress through these varied realms. The cooperative multiplayer really brings everything together. Kingdom Come Deliverance. This one goes all in on realism and somehow makes that feel like a fresh take on the open-world RPG formula. It doesn't throw spells or dragons at you. It hands you a sword and says, "Good luck, try not to bleed out." And it works. Everything from the way you fight to how you dress, and even how much you've eaten, plays into the experience. It's not trying to impress with flash, it's aiming to pull you into a place where the rules feel grounded. The combat system stands out right away. It's slower and more deliberate, like a duel rather than an action movie. You can't just button mash and expect results. Timing, angles, positioning, suddenly every fight feels like a little puzzle. And it's not just one-on-one either. You can find yourself in full-on battles, and staying alive means thinking on your feet. Or just running. Running works too. Then there's the attention to detail. You've got layers of clothing and armor that actually matter. Food spoils. People remember your actions. Show up somewhere covered in blood, and folks will react. Forget to sleep or eat, and you'll start to feel it. It's all part of this bigger system that's quietly working in the background to make the whole thing feel alive. What really clicks is how open it all feels. You've got this sprawling medieval world full of castles, villages, shady taverns, and wide open forests. You can train, hunt, learn alchemy. Doom Eternal. This one doesn't slow down. It doesn't hold your hand. It just throws you straight into the chaos and expects you to thrive in it. And honestly, that's half the fun. From the very first moment, everything is sharp, fast, and ridiculously satisfying. Movement feels like it's been cranked to 11. Dashing, double jumping, swinging off bars, wall climbing. It's like being in the middle of a non-stop action movie where you never run out of adrenaline. Combat is where things really shine. There's this dance you get into, juggling weapons, abilities, and movement. It never feels repetitive because the game keeps encouraging different tactics. Flame belch one group, chainsaw another for ammo, glory kill the next for health. It's like a chaotic rhythm that somehow makes perfect sense. And when you get into that flow, it just clicks in the most exciting way. There's also something kind of brilliant about how the weapons are handled. Each one has its own role, but none of them feel like filler. Everything in your arsenal has purpose, and when you start mastering the combinations, the entire combat loop becomes this incredibly tight, rewarding experience, and the game keeps you honest. If you try to coast, it will absolutely punish you. But when you rise to the challenge, it feels so good. The pacing is wild too. It's intense, but it's broken up just enough to let you breathe. Watch Dogs is one of those games that just makes you feel like you're living in a tech-driven, futuristic world where anything is possible. It's set in a city that's pretty much alive with data, and you're a hacker with the power to tap into all of it. With just a smartphone, you can hack into traffic lights, security cameras, and even the personal lives of the people around you. It's kind of like being a modern-day superhero, but without the cape. One of the best parts about this game is the way it lets you play. You can approach missions however you want, sneaky and stealthy, or full-on action hero style. If you love the idea of being a tech wizard who can control everything from a distance, this game nails that feeling. You get to play with the environment in ways that feel almost too cool to be real. Want to cause a traffic jam to distract some enemies? You got it. Hack into someone's bank account to fund your next move? Easy. It's all about using the city's systems to your advantage and turning everyday tech into a tool for chaos. Or good, depending on how you feel. And that's not even the best part. The game gives you a chance to explore the open world at your own pace. If you feel like diving straight into the action, go ahead. But if you want to take your time and explore, there's always something to discover. From finding side activities to hacking into more secrets, you're never far from a new way to make things more interesting. It's like a playground for tech lovers and thrill seekers all rolled into one. The volcanic archipelago formed from the ruins of Los Angeles isn't your typical vacation spot, but it's the perfect setting for some intense exploration. Aloy, our fearless heroine, finds herself navigating this dangerous yet captivating terrain, all while uncovering new threats and mysteries. In the Burning Shores DLC, the stakes are higher than ever as new weapons, enemies, and abilities spice up the action. It's all about pushing the limits of combat and exploration. What really stands out is how the gameplay builds upon what we loved in Forbidden West, while introducing exciting changes. For one, the new skills really mix things up. Take the shield drop, for example. It's a game changer when you're in the thick of a battle, offering that extra layer of protection just when you need it. If you're someone who loves adapting to different situations in combat, these new abilities add so many more options to your strategy. And let's talk about the new toys. Aloy has some new weapons in her arsenal that feel like they were designed specifically to face the new threats lurking in the Burning Shores. You've got a fresh set of tools that mesh perfectly with her already impressive skill set, giving you more ways to approach each skirmish. Whether you're into long-range takedowns or up-close action, there's something here for everyone. But it's not just about the combat. The exploration aspect takes a huge step forward. You're exploring this vast volcanic landscape, moving across everything from lush areas to dangerous, fiery zones. BioShock 2, Remastered. If you loved the first one, this is a perfect chance to dive back into the underwater city, but with some cool upgrades to the gameplay and a few new twists to keep things interesting. This time, you're stepping into the boots of Subject Delta, a big daddy, with a bit more freedom than the ones you might remember. The gameplay takes everything that was great about the first game and adds even more depth to it. The ability to dual-wield weapons and plasmids is a game changer. It's not just about choosing between weapons anymore. You can combine firepower and powers in ways that make combat feel more fluid and dynamic. It's all about mixing and matching to create your ideal battle strategy, and there's nothing quite like it. The enemies are no slouches either. The Big Sisters in particular are relentless and keep you on your toes. These encounters really ramp up the intensity of the game. The pacing feels right, and it keeps you engaged throughout, especially when you're facing off against these tough foes that really test your skills. And hey, there's also a multiplayer mode, which is a bit of a bonus. While it might not be the main draw of the game, it adds a fun extra layer of depth to the experience. It's set during the chaos of Rapture's Civil War, so you get to see the city from a different angle and mess around with its history in a way that adds a bit of variety to your time in Rapture. The remastered edition doesn't just give the game a makeover either. It's been polished to play smoother than ever. Control is a game that mixes action, exploration, and a ton of supernatural chaos. You step into the shoes of Jesse Faden, a character who's trying to piece together the mysteries of a world that seems to constantly shift and change. What really makes the game stand out is how it takes the typical third-person shooter formula and adds these awesome psychic powers that make combat feel way more dynamic. The gameplay is super fun because it lets you get creative with how you approach things. You've got all these telekinetic powers like being able to throw objects around or even lift yourself up and float midair. It really spices up the combat, and the way it's mixed with traditional gunplay just makes for this fluid, action-packed experience. There's a cool balance here between blasting away with your weapon and using your abilities to control the environment around you, turning every fight into something more strategic. Another great thing is the way the game handles its environment. The oldest house where all the action happens is like a maze that keeps you on your toes. You're never quite sure what you'll encounter next, whether it's an unexpected fight or a hidden room with cool loot. It's a place that feels alive, with everything constantly changing, making exploration feel rewarding. What really helps the whole experience is the way it lets you build your character. There are a ton of ways to customize Jessie's powers, allowing you to focus on things like making her more agile, strengthening her telekinetic abilities, or boosting her defense. Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. This time, we get to team up with Chloe Fraser, a fan-favorite treasure hunter, as she's joined by Nadine Ross, a mercenary from Uncharted 4. What's cool about this duo is how their dynamic grows throughout the game, making every moment feel personal and compelling. Right from the start, the game does an excellent job of blending action and exploration. You'll be jumping, climbing, and swinging through environments that are both breathtaking and filled with surprises. Whether you're sneaking past enemies, solving puzzles, or just soaking in the scenery, there's always something happening. And let's be honest, finding those hidden gems and taking on the challenges feels incredibly rewarding. Combat in this game is tight, smooth, and offers a lot of ways to approach situations. You can go in guns blazing, but it's also super satisfying to sneak around, avoiding detection and using stealth. The addition of silenced weapons adds a cool strategic layer, especially when you're trying to outsmart the enemy rather than outgun them. It really lets you choose your playstyle, whether you're all about action or more about being the sneaky hero. Now, the environments themselves are like playgrounds for these two characters. There's this great balance of open spaces where you can really explore and take your time, and then there are these narrow, tense spots that make your heart race. It's a mix that keeps things fresh, so you're never stuck in one mode for too long. There's something undeniably satisfying about mowing down massive hordes of zombies, especially when you've got a squad of friends at your back. That's exactly the kind of thrill you get when you dive into World War Z. The real kicker? The sheer scale of the action. We're talking about literally thousands of zombies coming at you at once, and it's up to you and your team to hold them off. What really makes the game stand out is how it handles those zombie swarms. It's not just a few zombies stumbling around. The game has this insane swarm mechanic where up to 1,000 zombies can be on screen at once, charging at you all at once. It's chaotic, intense, and honestly kind of exhilarating to see. You've got to be fast on your feet, constantly switching up tactics, whether you're setting up barricades or lobbing grenades into the thicks of the crowd. The classes are another fun part. You don't just pick a generic soldier, each character has a unique role that affects how the team operates. Whether you're the Hellraiser, throwing explosive traps everywhere, or the medic, healing everyone on the go, each class brings something cool to the table. It makes teamwork feel meaningful and forces you to really rely on each other, which is great for anyone who enjoys a bit of strategy mixed into the chaos. What's also cool is how the game pushes you to keep moving and thinking on the fly. You're not just walking through levels mindlessly. Each mission has its own objectives,